Kenya's export market has seen a growth with a bias in the fresh produce, while a large section of Kenya manufactured goods remain untapped, an untapped opportunity. Now, today we engaged the Kenya Export Promotion Council EPC. Victoria Mungu spoke with the CEO Peter Biwott. Just take a look at the EPC interview.
I'm joined by Peter. I'm joined by Peter Biwott, the Chief Executive Officer for the Export Promotion Council. Thank you so much, sir, for having time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Let's start us off. At the moment, Kenya imports stands at roughly 1.7 trillion shillings, and the exports are about 600 billion shillings. Where is the gap?
I think we need to, one thing we need to know, first of all, is that imports are not necessarily bad. What is happening is that Kenya is a growing economy, and we are now building our roads. We are building our standard gauge railway. We are importing machines for our agriculture sector. So one of the contributors to high imports is because Kenya is importing this kind of technology. And there's nothing wrong about that, because we are working in terms of enhancing our infrastructure and capital goods. So, but there's also an element of imports which is not something to be proud about, because importing things that we can be able to produce in Kenya should not be something we aim. We aim to ensure that we actually produce sufficient products so that we can be able to export, because there's value in exportation. If a country exports, we are able to get foreign exchange earnings. And if we want to expand our manufacturing sector, if we want to expand our businesses or enterprises in the services sector, then we need to enhance the value and the quantities of products that we can be able to sell out of Kenya. And I can tell you that Kenya, because of this, the gap which has been existing is that we have not had a strategy for exports. But as you heard the peers talking, we now have a national exports development and promotion strategy. Why development? Development because we know the existing market opportunities for this country out of Kenya are so huge. Kenya today is only 0.006 share of world market, which means 99.94% of global buyers live outside of Kenyan borders. What does that mean? We need to strategize. We need to produce enough quantities in good value so that we can be able to sell out of Kenya in the EPC region, in the African continent. And I think the projection by the National Export Strategy is that by 2020, we should be able to grow our export sector by 25%. And by then, we should have reduced our trade deficit by over 50%. So Kenya is a growing economy, which is part of why you see exports are low. And as the president has said, the Big Four agenda is especially manufacturing. So we need to enhance, expand, business, expand industry. And let me tell you, another thing which we need to get prepared for is that when Kenya now focuses on manufacturing sector, you realize that there will be need for acquisition of new technology, new processing technologies in the tea sector, in the coffee sector, in all our sectors, dairy and others. And therefore, for us to be able to afford that kind of machinery, then we need to export more so that the country can have sufficient foreign exchange reserves.
You talked about the strategy that now Kenya is looking forward into implementing. Where is this going to put Kenya, or rather, what opportunities do you see in this when the strategy begins to be implemented?
What has happened is that every arm of government has been engaged. Every arm of the private sector has been engaged. The media, Kenyans. And this is going to continue. The engagement is going to continue. The opportunity which I see here is that the strategy is going to rally all Kenyans. Because as I said, this country cannot develop if all of us as a country do not rally behind the president. If the president has said the Big Four agenda, then all of us must see what is my contribution so that I can be able to make manufacturing to happen, so that I can be able to contribute to food security. What is my role? To be able to ensure that there is better housing and there is universal health care in this country. So what we need to do is that if it is manufacturing, we want to encourage Kenyans of all walks of life to take interest in processing. Those those of us, those who are in the rural areas, in counties, take interest in adopting new technology in agro-processing or in agriculture, agribusiness, so that we can start producing. Erect one greenhouse, dig a borehole of water because you need enough water supply for irrigation. Can you be able to start, adopting low-cost housing, decent housing? Can we be able to start business, being able to win contracts, what we call subcontracting, winning contracts from companies who are already manufacturing, like Mapate rolling mills? Can we be able to work with them a partnership so that many Kenyans can sign supply contracts? Companies like Bidco, Melvin Marsh, companies like Keteba. And I know already a lot of Kenyans are doing business in products which are actually being processed locally. So it's upon all of us as a country to take this moment. I can say this is an economic moment for all of us to be able to take, and those of us who are in leadership and those in the media and in other sectors of the economy, can we take it upon ourselves so that we can promote, share in our business networks, discuss, talk, and see how we can be able to add value. Of course, the government, offers a lot of opportunities. So I think for us to be able to reverse, even services, we have Kenyans who have gone to school. We have a lot of them who are not employed. Can we take advantage of emerging markets and see whether we can go and do business there? And already the government has done a lot. If there are any challenges you face, you raise, through the State Department for Trade. And I think with these bilateral agreements, regional agreements, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, why can't Kenyans go to Nigeria and do business there? Why can't we go to Mali? Why can't we take our products to Zambia? I mean, this is something that we need to ensure that we have more players in the market. Because currently we have a number, but we need to increase the number of Kenyan players who export to South Africa, who sell products in Uganda, South Sudan, and many other parts of the continent.
Sir, when you talk about Kenyans export, what comes to the mind of any trader will be the fresh produce, the flowers, the cut flowers, the coffee, the tea. Why isn't Kenya diversifying into this other, product that we understand that Kenya makes a lot of product, manufactures a lot of products within the country? Why isn't the export of this particular products as much as the fresh exports?
Because we have what we call narrow range in terms of our products. We also don't add value to a lot of our exports. So what we need to do now is to have that mindset change. And that's what I was saying. If all of us as Kenyans can own, this process and contribute to it, then we need to urge Kenyans and tell them it is possible for you even to export walking sticks. I was in Birmingham trade fair during the spring, and I saw some business people from Scotland who just use, develop some walking sticks. And those walking sticks are being bought by the military in Ghana. They're being bought by the military even in Africa and other continents. And it is just from a stick. So we need to think and be innovative and see the resources we have in our locality, like even the calabash, our traditional foods, the things, the carvings, the handicrafts. Can we be able to take advantage of some of these resources we have and showcase them to the rest of the world, so that we don't continue believing that it is a certain group of Kenyans who are endowed with tea estates or coffee estates, or who are rich somewhere who can only be able to export. Even SMEs, look at the opportunities which are available under the Dubai 2020. SMEs have been given concessions. They have been given, preference. So it's upon Kenyan SME to take advantage of emerging opportunities so that you can learn. Because, when you engage in international business, then you start learning. You get new networks. You get new people. And that is how you get exposed. And I think this is my recommendation, that Kenyans, let's take interest. And even if you do not have resources, you saw in the Dubai 2020, opportunities for SMEs. They will give you, at the point where you get a contract, you are awarded a contract, you get 25% disbursement initially, so that you can use that one to start, working. What kind of an opportunity do we need? There's a lot of opportunity.
Let's talk about the new markets, or rather the markets where you see the opportunities. Where is Kenya seeing the opportunities?
Of course, as I said, the African continent remains the single most, available market, emerging market for Kenyan for Kenyans or for Kenyan products. The Middle East, the Asian continent like China, India, countries in the Central Asia and, Far East, countries like the US where we already have an African Growth and Opportunity Act. But always, I will urge that for the Kenyan SME, for the Kenyan manufacturer, I think as we continue to strengthen our ties in terms of exporting products to the rest of the world, we need to strengthen our footprint in the African continent. You see, Kenya has been able to sign the African Continental Free Trade Area, and our president has moved with speed to have that agreement ratified. It's gone through parliament. So if our government can be able to achieve this in record time, then why, as Kenyans, we need to take that opportunity? Because what it means is that once it has been signed, there is now, the agenda of making it operational. And that takes me and you, the Kenyan, the private sector, to see then how can we be able to enhance, production of exportable products with the support of EPC and other government agencies. Then you can be able now to, sell, to these markets.
There have been cases where Kenyan products have been rejected out in the outside market. What's your take on such cases?
Well, I don't think most of our Kenyan products are actually accepted because they meet international standards. In most cases than not, our products are selling very fast. They're selling, widely in the continent and elsewhere in the world. Some of those products which could have been rejected, well, maybe, they are not, well classified, or maybe they were not of a certain, maybe standard. But I think in most cases than not, our products are of high quality, and on less occasions have we had that Kenyan products have actually been rejected in other markets. Yeah, others, I cannot be able to comment about others because sometimes, in global trade, you saw recently recently Kenya was able to dispose of some sugar because of misclassification. But I don't think Kenyans do that. I think Kenyan products are of high quality, and they're actually being taken seriously and absorbed. Others could be issues of non-tariff barriers. They could be issues of, they are likely non-tariff barriers. Some barriers which are erected, they could not be, genuine, but I think it's part of nationalism by other member states who try to protect their markets. But otherwise, Kenyan products can be consumed anywhere in the world. Yeah.
And lastly, from where you sit, what are the best international practices that Kenya can borrow?
In terms of some of the international best practices, for me, I think Kenya, we are doing well in customer service, but we need to scale it up. Issues of customer service, issues of ensuring that we have sufficient, quantities, will really add a lot of impetus and value to what we do. For me, I think the art of business is customer service. If we can be able to scale to the heights of United Arab Emirates and other economies who have already, gone high and known that when you do proper customer service, that is how you maintain and retain your customers from wherever they are. And then consistency, ensuring that when you start supplying certain products, you make sure that you are consistent, the quality is the same, there's no inconsistency. Those are some of the best practices we can actually be able to learn.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Peter Biwott, the Chief Executive Officer for the Export Promotion Council in Kenya, speaking to Ebru TV. I'm Victoria Munga, and thanks for watching.